Have you ever like fallen into something or had discovered one of those aha moments where you're like, man, that's a game changer. I wish I would have figured that out a long time ago. Hi, I'm David from Our Weekend Homestead, and today we're going to show you how to mix your own potting soil. A while back, Lisa and I started mixing our own potting soil, and it's been a little bit of a game changer. A lot of our seed starts this year were a lot stronger, and we're really happy with what we've figured out by making our own potting soil. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Here's a good example of some microgreens that we planted. The 2 trays on the left were done with your standard store-bought potting soil, and the 2 trays on the right were done with our own home blend. The interesting thing is that the 2 on the right were planted 4 days later. The way we do this is super simple. We use a 5-gallon bucket to ratio the different components. The 3 major components is compost, peat moss, and perlite. So recently I've started using these 27-gallon totes from Home Depot. They're no better or worse than anybody else's, but I kind of like them because I've been able to stack them all and I just like to keep them all consistent. I also made a screed to go on top of one of these that's got 1/4-inch mesh on it. And what I want to do is I want to start off by adding the compost, and then we're going to go ahead and sift it through the screed to get out any of the big organic pieces. You also notice I'm removing the worms because they're not going to do us any good inside of our containers. All right, next we're going to add the perlite. This is the hardest stuff to mix into the blend, so I try to put it in the middle. It makes it a little bit easier. And the last of the 3 major components is the peat moss. And I'm again gonna sift this. There's a lot of big chunks in the peat moss and I want to get all that out. I think if you're gonna do a potting soil, I mean, you want the seeds to struggle a bit so that the strong ones survive. But the reality is you don't want them fighting with a big old log to try to get past it. So as you can see, even the peat moss has a fair bit of debris that won't make it through the screen. This is a great little piece of equipment to have in your garden arsenal. It really allows you to decide if you want to take a lot of this stuff out before putting it into your garden. I mean, in some cases, if you're going to put compost along the tops of your beds, it's not that important. But if you're going to go and try to amend the soil and just try to make it real airy, getting a lot of this big pieces of organic matter out, and sticks and stuff that's just not going to break down that easy, has a lot of benefits. So now that we got the main 3 ingredients in, we're going to go ahead and add some amendments to this. The first one is we're going to use eggshells. We save all of our eggshells and throw them in the oven and dry them out, and then run them through a food processor. And we just want a little bit in here, not a whole lot, just a couple of little small handfuls or one big handful. Next thing we want to add is some azomite. Again, we're only going to add about a handful. And then lastly, we're going to add some kelp meal. This stuff is great for seeds that are just starting out. Gives them a nice kick. Again, I'm putting a handful in there. And that's it for the amendments. Next thing is we want to gently stir all this up. I got a little wind going on here, so I'm going to take my time, but believe it or not, this doesn't go as easy as it seems. You really got to keep folding it and blending it, and keep in mind it starts to look like it's getting mixed, and then you have all that compost in the bottom. You'll know when it's done because you'll see the colors. If you see here, you got dark and light. We got the peat moss and the compost. Just keep going after it from corner to corner, and then we hit it side by side. And I spend probably about 5 minutes mixing this. You'll start seeing as you go from side to side, you'll see things that parts of the soil or the mix that looks like it's never been touched. So here's the finished product. If you notice again, it's real light and airy. This is great soil for doing seed starts. We even put some of this in when we're transplanting some of those seedlings and putting them in the garden. Depending on how delicate the plant is, sometimes we'll use just straight compost, but a lot of times we do this and it just seems to give them a head start. I think with having the eggshells and the azomite and the kelp meal inside here, it really helps give them some nutrients as they're starting out. Once we started doing this, all of our seed starts were much stronger. It's just been a game changer, so I thought I'd share it with you. Here's another example of what our starts look like using our own potting mix. So this about wraps up the video. We're finishing up the last of our spring gardening projects. As soon as the gardens started to fill in, we'll go ahead and do like a garden tour and show you all the upgrades and things we've been working on. If you don't want to miss any of our upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I will also put the ingredients that we used or the recipe for the potting soil blend down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.